All right, welcome everybody to our marketing program webinar series. We thank you for joining us either live tonight or watching the recording later. So thank you for taking the time. This is our first marketing webinar of the term, and it's blogging as a marketing tool. My name is Melina Eaton, and I am the marketing faculty lead here at SNHU and will serve as your moderator this evening. So tonight we're focused on blogging. We will look at how companies use blogs as a marketing tool, strategies for creating and developing a visually appearing and content-rich blog, and discuss where blogging is going in the future. The structure of our meeting tonight is very much informal, and we welcome your questions throughout the presentation using the chat feature. There's no need for you to wait until the presentation ends to ask a question. Please just pop in, and I will be watching the chat, and we'll make sure that your questions get to our speaker. And so with that said, I would like to introduce our guest speaker for you tonight, or rather have him introduce himself, because I always think that that's a little bit better. So Bobby, do you want to take a moment to introduce yourself?
Sure, I'd love to. Can you hear me okay?
Sure can.
Great. Well, thank you, Melina. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining today. I'm looking forward to our first marketing webinar on blogging as a marketing tool. My name is Bobby Papulias. I'm currently an adjunct instructor with Southern New Hampshire University, and I've taught some introduction to marketing classes, and I currently also teach social media marketing strategy. So I have a pretty strong background in marketing, and I really enjoy always updating myself with the current marketing trends, advertising tools, and so on and so on. It's really something that's changing quite progressively on a day-to-day basis in this digital age of technology. So I think today's webinar is going to be fantastic because we're going to be talking about blogging and how it can help as a marketing tool, which not a lot of people knew that it can actually be helped as a marketing tool. Thanks, Melina.
Excellent. Well, thank you. And thank you again for joining us and taking the time. I know evenings can be tough for all of us. So thank you very much. And I'd love to start by just having you expand a little bit on where you were going at the end of your introduction, just in regards to how do companies use blogs right now as a marketing tool? What are they doing? What's sort of the point?
Well, that's a great question. And a lot of companies are using blogs right now to really create a presence in their online presence. Because just to kind of give you a quick background for those of you who don't know, there are a couple different types of advertising. So when we go to Google and we type in a Google search for something, when the results come up, you're going to see the first one, two, or three that pop up, and it may have the word ad or advertisement by it. That's called search engine marketing. That means someone is paying to pop up as the first few results. And then the results that come up after that is really the search engine optimization. So what a lot of companies are doing is they're trying to create a big presence on the internet. And when you're able to do this, you're actually raising your game in your search engine optimization, the results that come up in Google. So for example, every time you create a blog post or you create a new page on that blog, you're actually adding an additional index on the internet. And so that gives companies kind of a leg up on search results. So for example, if someone is going to a search engine such as Google and they're typing in the keyword search, let's say they have a dog and they're looking for organic dog food. So let's say your company is a big maker of organic dog food. Well, when they go in and they type in organic dog food, they're going to have results that come up. Well, the more that you're on the internet, the more that you web pages that you create, the more blogs that you have, it's more of a presence that you have. Therefore, that SEO, that search engine optimization, actually comes back with your company as a higher result. So for example, a lot of companies right now, they're actually creating blogs for different departments that they have. One of the biggest ones that they're creating right now is really customer service blogging pages. For example, you may have the director of customer service blogging on a weekly basis. And what they're doing is they're creating index pages on the internet and they're getting people involved in their website. So now they're able to create topics and they're able to provide information for clients on a certain topic. And if you do this on a weekly basis, you're going to start getting users who are going to constantly come back to your blog to get more information. So let's go back to the organic dog food example. If I have a company that creates nothing but organic dog food, one week I may talk about a certain ingredient that we see in dog food on a day-to-day basis. And, even though we don't have that in our dog food, I may write a blog post saying, this is why you need to stay away from this. So now my users, they're educated in something and they've received something out of this blog post. So when they're going to the store and they're going to go buy dog food, maybe my organic dog food may be a little bit more expensive. So what they're going to do is they're going to search for dog food that doesn't have that certain ingredient that I blogged about. So I'm creating that educational material for them. So I'm giving them reasons to come back to my blog post and constantly read it to see what kind of new topics that I'm able to provide it. So a blog, really the goal of your blog is to get users to come to your blog, to get them to understand your website. You talk about your company. And what's even greater that a blog post is able to offer is that it's able to drive this traffic to your website and actually create leads. So a blog, you can put a call to action in your blog post. So maybe at the end of the blog, you're going to write something along the lines like, let's go back to the example of the organic dog food. And I created a blog post of a certain ingredient to stay away from in dog food because dogs have trouble breaking it down. Well, maybe at the end of the blog post, I may put something along the lines like, if you guys would like constant information on a weekly basis or my weekly email, please feel free to sign up here, and you can create a call to action button where they click on the link, it takes them to your website, and now there's information to fill out, such as their name, their phone number, their address, telephone, email address. So now what they're doing is they're exchanging information from you for their own personal information that they don't mind giving you, because now you've really built that trust with them. So what's great about this, now you have access to people because you're creating a call to action button. So now your website is generating this traffic into leads. So maybe in next month's newsletter for your organic dog food company, you're going to send out your monthly email and you're going to have information on there on how they can buy your dog food. Maybe there's a 10% off discount, whatever it may be. So you've created traffic to your website from your blog post that has now turned into leads and possible customers of purchasing items. So that's one great thing about a blog post that companies are able to use is they're creating these call to action buttons where they're giving the information to these customers in exchange for their personal information for future emails, maybe mailers, telephone calls, whatever it may be. So that's why it's such a great tool to have, especially in this day and age, because also remember, blogging is free. It doesn't create any money to create a blog website, and people can go on there and really create it. And it really helps you get your name out there. So let's go back to the example again, my organic dog food company. I have a web page, and on my web page, it costs additional money to host additional pages and upload content, upload information. Well, with a blog post, it's all for free. In addition, you're also creating more content to put out there on the internet. So maybe when someone goes and searches organic dog food, maybe they're putting wet organic dog food, lamb flavor, lamb and rice flavor. Let's go the Middle Eastern route. So they want the lamb and rice flavor. Well, maybe I had a blog post on my lamb and rice organic dog food, my wet organic dog food. So most likely mine is going to be up at the end of the search, at the beginning of the search results, along with maybe my web page, because now I've linked my web page to my blog post. So therefore, when people are trying to get information, they usually click on the first one or two pages. I mean, myself, for example, I don't think I've ever gone to page 2 on a Google search result. I usually have what I need on the first page. Maybe it's just because of my OCD and I type in the keywords that I actually need. But that's what's great about a blog post is you can make it and focus it on whatever you want it to be. And the cherry on top now, when you're creating your blog post, you're able to attach keywords to every blog post that you have. So for example, let's go back to the organic dog food, wet food, lamb and rice flavor. So if I'm writing a blog post on that, I may use some keywords: organic dog food, wet food, lamb, rice, flavoring, and then I would tie those keywords into my blog post so that way, whenever people do keyword searches, those may match and come up on the Google search results. So that's why blogging is really such an important tool in today's age of digital communication, is because you're able to really build a strong foundation to support your content marketing. This is what's going to give you that really strong foundation to let your customers and potential customers know that, hey, not only do I know what I'm talking about, but I'm also able to really execute on the things that I'm talking about. So that's what's really great about how these companies are using blogging in their and for their companies. So that would probably conclude my answer on that question.
No, that's fantastic. And I think I felt like there were so many interesting things that you just said. And I feel like there were sort of three high level takeaways, right? That we use the blogs to create content. We use them to help to drive organic traffic, right, to our website. And then we use them to almost as like a sales engine. And Hillary made a great comment in the chat when you were talking about, having that call to action right in the blog post, that it's like taking the concept of asking for a sale in sales and applying it to your blog, which I thought was a really great way of saying it. So I think those are fantastic. I was wondering, could you talk a little bit about, I mean, blogs are free, right? You said that, and there's so many of them, right? I remember seeing a statistic once of the number of like abandoned blogs there were out out on the internet. What is it that makes a blog successful? Is it something about how it looks visually? Is it about strong content? Is it about the format? As people are thinking about maybe even creating their own blog or doing it for our marketing program, what are some of the tips or strategies that you would sort of recommend to people that they consider, just in terms of sort of the look, the feel, the layout, the structure of their blog?
Yeah, great question. And to add to that, I think I even have an abandoned blog post out there somewhere that I need to get back to. But excellent question. I think what you want to look for in a creativity in the blog is you want to show your customers that you're professional. So if you have a blog post out there and they go to it and it's a white background, black text, no images, no really visual creativity to it. It may be something that they'll be turned off by because they'll see that a lot of time wasn't put into it. When I see a product that is aesthetically pleasing, I know that there was time put into it. Same thing with websites. A perfect example. We're currently looking to purchase a home, and we want a new construction home because I don't want to go through the tough times of fixing up things. I just want a turnkey home ready to go. So my wife and I had been looking, and we found a couple new developers in the Chicago area to build homes. And I went to one of their websites, and it was very kind of just I don't want to use the term Mickey Mouse, but it just looked like it was thrown together. Very unprofessional. It was difficult to find where the contact us button was, and then also a couple of the links didn't work. And then I went to another developer's website, and this thing was just organized. It had a menu at the top. It had an information about all the people who worked there. It was really aesthetically pleasing, and it really brought me into their website to search around on their website. And that kind of crosses over into a blog. When someone comes to your blog and they see your different blog posts that you have, and you have a photo for each blog post, or maybe you're uploading a video for a blog post, and you also use the tools at your disposal, such as the underline function, italicizing, or bolding, whatever it may be, but something to show that you really put that time and content in your creativity. It's really going to invite them in and let them know, hey, I put time into my blog, therefore I want you to read it. I know your time is valuable, so because I put so much time in mine, it's aesthetically pleasing. It's going to go ahead and give you that foundation of what you're looking for. So let's go into the formatting of your blog post. You don't want to have a blog where I like to call it a wall of words. words. We get emails like that where someone sends you an email and it's about maybe a 30-line paragraph and it's just one paragraph. I call that a wall of words because it looks like a wall of words. Same thing with your blog. You want to separate your ideas. You want to separate information out where it's easy to look. It's easy to understand. Maybe you're talking about, maybe I'm talking about my organic dog food. And in the opening paragraph, I start discussing the different flavors that we have and how not a lot of organic dog food companies have those different flavors. Well, underneath that paragraph, I may bullet point the different flavors that I have and bold the title of the different flavors. That way, when someone goes into the blog post, they can see right away the different flavors I discuss, and it's easy to read, it's easy to understand. Maybe they'll see, okay, my dog doesn't like lamb and rice, so I'm gonna go for peas and carrots. I can easily find where peas and carrots are at, and I can read what you have to say. So when it's aesthetically pleasing, like visual pleasing to the eye, it's really going to invite them to continue to read and to continue to want to know what it is you're doing. And then another key point that you want to always consider is that you want to make sure your blog is updated. You don't want to update it too often. Usually I would say about once a week is a great way to update your blog and to add a new blog post in. You don't want to overpopulate your blog with too many posts where if one of your customers maybe logs on every 2 to 3 weeks, now all of a sudden there's 40 new blog posts and they're going to feel very overwhelmed. Whereas if you have a new blog post every week, it really gives them that opportunity to catch up on a 2 to 3 week basis and really only read a few different blogs that you may have. So you want to make sure that you are currently on a schedule and you stick with that schedule. So that way your customer knows. Maybe you only want to create one blog per month, and that's just what you do. You're only posting 12 per year, or maybe you want to do it on a weekly basis, or maybe you're doing it on a Monday and Thursday basis. Whatever it is, you want to keep it consistent so your readers know when you're going to be posting, and they can expect when your next post is going to be. So those are two really important key points that I feel are very important when you are blogging. You want to make sure you are constantly blogging on time and your creativity in your blog is really rich, not too rich to the point where someone comes to your blog post and the background is pink, the font is green, it's difficult to read, there's hundreds of photos everywhere. You don't want to make it to a sense where it's I don't want to use the word too creative because there's no such thing as too creative, but you don't want to make it too unvisually pleasing. You want to give it a sense of letting your customer know that, or letting your reader know that this is easily organized. There's photos here. There's an easy title to read and understand. That way, that creativity is there, and it shows your customer and your reader that you're putting time and effort to make your blog look good. Therefore, you want them to read your blog, and you're not wasting their time. You're putting that effort in to make it that much more pleasing. So that's what I would have to add to that. Yeah, thank you. Go ahead, Melina. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's actually a great question. So personal brands, I mean, everything you do on a daily basis is your personal brand. How much you talk, how much you don't talk, how you dress, what kind of car you drive. This is a brand you're creating for yourself in the eyes of other people. Well, a blog is the same way. This is the brand that you're creating. This is what you want people to see. So when you have your blog posts, there's something that you may want to attribute to your blog whenever you do post to show that this is your personal brand, which falls into the creativity. Maybe maybe with your brand, for every blog post that you create, you want to add links to other resources to get more information. Well, this is your personal brand of what you do. And now your readers are going to know, hey, whenever I go to Steve Smith's blog post, I know that whatever blog he's talking about, I'm going to be able to get additional resources to find out more information and further information. These are the things you want to keep in mind. And that also falls into your writing style that you have too. Going back to what Hillary wrote, taking the concept of asking for the sale and sales and applying it to your blog is great. And that goes into your writing as well, your personal brand of how you write, what you write about. And when you do write, you want to make sure that you're writing in a style to really be persuasive in what it is that you're saying and what it is that you want to come across. In a in a business writing class I once taught, there was a persuasive style that my students would have to use in order to pass the exam. And this personal writing style, it's called the AIDA strategy. It's just an acronym, and the acronym for it is AID as in dog, A. And I'll go ahead and put that into the chat so everybody can see, but it's AIDA. And the first A stands for attention. The I stands for interest. The third letter stands for desire. And the last letter, A, stands for action. So what you're doing now is you're writing a persuasive message. And in this persuasive message, you want to create attention. How are you going to gain their attention to continue reading on? Maybe you're going to state an interesting fact, going back to the organic dog food blog post. Maybe I'm writing, let's go back to the idea of understanding, hey, if there's a certain ingredient, to stay away from it. So maybe in the beginning of the blog post, I'm going to create an attention saying, did you know 85% of dogs can't break down the following ingredient? And now all of a sudden people are more interested and they want to know more about it because, hey, I don't want to give something to my dog, a food that they can't break down an ingredient. So I want to know about it. So now you've created attention and you've gotten them to, hey, I'm going to continue reading forward. Then that's when you create an interest for them to really understand what it is. So the interest here in this case is this ingredient is not good for dogs because science just found out that dogs can't break down this ingredient. And it's not a lot of things that are, it's not something that a lot of companies know about. The FDA is still researching it, so it's something that they're currently looking into. Therefore, you may not know about it because it's nothing that has been tested yet, but it's possibly something that can be really harmful to your dog. So now all of a sudden, you've created an interest for them to really understand, hey, Mr. Steve Smith here, the blogger, is creating a great point. Now you're creating a desire for them. Well, guess what? If you buy my dog food product, you're not going to have to worry about that because I don't have that in my dog food product. So therefore, you don't have to worry about that ingredient in my dog food given to your dog. Granted, it's a little bit more expensive, but at the same time, it's all organic, all natural, and this is something that's really going to appeal to the client. Then you create that action. The action is really important, and that's where you tell them to do something, such as, click here for the direct link to my website to save 10%, or click here to provide your email address to receive my weekly content. So using this AIDA strategy, you're persuading your readers to really buy into what it is that you're talking about. And that's something that really falls into your personal brand. Are you able to really provide your readers with information about what it is that they want to know about at the same time without being too pushy, too obnoxious, too annoying? And this AIDA strategy is a great tool to use when you are writing persuasive messages such as blog posts. What is it that you're convincing your audience of, your readers, et cetera, et cetera. So that's why I think really having that personal brand of who you are, what your blog looks like, and even goes down to the style of your writing is extremely important because people will see it. I'm constantly on different websites reading sports updates, and I'm telling you, if I don't read, if I don't look at the columnist's name, I can tell you who wrote this because I know how that columnist writes. So that's their personal brand of writing style that they've built, and that's something that you need to consider as well too.
No,
So
that was
I hope I
fantastic,
was
and I
able to
think that
answer that and didn't provide
the
too
ADA
much
is just
information.
it's such a great way to sort of frame. You know what I mean? Like I love like little mini frameworks that I can sort of remember, and I think that that's just such a great tool for students
Yeah.
to sort of have in the back of their head. So that's fantastic. So I know we only have about 5 minutes left, and so the last thing that we wanted to touch on was like the future, right? Which I know none of us can predict. Obviously, I always joke when I meet somebody and they're like, their title is futurist. I always think that's really cool. I'm like, I want to be a futurist. It's like, okay. But when you think about sort of marketing, right, and the different channels we have and the rate that things are changing, right, with mobile and digital and social and, and then all the traditional channels still hanging around, if you look out 5 years, 10 years, has blogging as a marketing tool changed dramatically? Has it stayed the same? Has it disappeared? What do you, if you had a crystal ball, where would you put blogging in terms of a marketing strategy, 10 years down the road?
Oh, wow. There were plenty of times I wish I had a crystal ball, but in this case, let's go ahead and apply it to this example. With blogging one, I don't think it's going to disappear. It's really something that helps people provide, it's really something that helps provide readers an understanding about something. And when I'm purchasing a product or I'm looking at reviews, those are extremely important to me because it's helping me build, what's the word I'm looking for? It's really me help me build that credibility. When I'm looking at a product to purchase and let's say it's $500-600, and that's just not money I have to throw around. I'm gonna look and I'm gonna try to read a little bit about this product to have a better understanding of what other people think. And a lot of times I end up on blogs and people blog about certain items, certain products, and I want to read what they have to say because that's going to build the credibility of giving me a good understanding of if this is a good product or if it's not a good product. Because remember, in a blog, you're allowed to put comments where people can leave you comments about the blog that you're writing about. So then on in the bottom of the blog, at the end of the blog, I can go and I can read those comments of what other people have to say. So I really think blogging is something that's going to grow over time. I think with the new generation of people really using digital communication and really that electronic communication of reading and understanding things for products, I think it's really going to grow to a point where everybody's really going to have a blog. And what you write on that blog is going to show who you are, your personal brand. Maybe you're a real estate agent and you want to blog on a monthly basis of where the market is currently at. That's something that you can do because you're help building your brand on the web, which is your presence. And right now, we have a lot of the baby boomers and even Generation X that may not be used to blogging too much. They're the ones who don't really apply too much blogging into the everyday life of the internet. Whereas now with the millennials and new people, they want to get their name out there. They want to create a brand for themselves. Now everybody's turning to blogging, at least right now it seems like it. So I really think in 10 years from now, blogging is going to be a crucial tool, not only for your own personal brand, but for companies as well too. So maybe some of you may have your own business one day. You have a personal blog for yourself, and then you have a blog for your business as well too. So I really think it's something that's going to grow exponentially over the next 10 years or so, and really become that product of a company and letting people know of
Fantastic.
their own
Excellent.
personal
So
style
I
and
know
what it
we're
is that they're
just about
writing
up
about.
against 8:30. So Bobby, do you have any sort of final thoughts or words of wisdom that you want to share with the group before we sign off?
Yes, a great thing that each one of you can do. When I first started blogging, I didn't notice how many mistakes I had when I was writing. So what you can do is you can write your blog post in a Microsoft Word document and hit that spell check button. You'd be surprised how many misspelled words you may have or how many grammar mistakes you have. So make sure to write it into a document where you can actually run spell check and reread your blog before you actually post it. Does it make sense to you? Is there something that you can add? Maybe you can concise something up a bit. Maybe you have a really long paragraph and you feel, that's too much information. I can take some of the wording out or combine the thoughts. So proofreading and editing is extremely important in writing because that's when you're going to catch the mistakes that you did. So make sure to proofread, edit it read it a couple different times. If it sounds awkward or weird to you, then it is going to be awkward and weird to others. So change the wording around, figure out how you can rewrite a sentence and whatnot. So I
That's
would
a
really,
really
my big
awesome
tip
tip.
is
Yeah,
proofreading
thank
and
you so
editing.
much.
Make
And
sure
it's
you
I
apply it in
definitely
your
agree with
blog.
you. It's so much easier to start in Word and then utilize their spell and grammar check. So thank you so much for that. And thank you also for taking the time to join us tonight and sharing your expertise and your thoughts. It is very much appreciated. And thank you all for joining us. We will be posting this as a video on our YouTube channel, and your faculty
No
will be
problem.
sharing out a link, so you're welcome to hop back in and rewatch it if you're so inclined. So thank you again for joining us tonight. Thank you, Bobby, for taking the time, and we hope that everybody has a great rest of your week. Take care.
Great. Thanks, Melina. Thank you, everyone.